When dealing with a child with ADHD, there's always lots of ideas that other parents or other people like to give you. You know, maybe get them to bed earlier, have a look at their diet, get them off the tablets. You know, I would never let my kid do that. And so when you go through the process of the diagnosis, and as a parent you're thinking, okay, I'm not doing anything wrong. This is actually something wrong, and then you get courses offered to you, and you think, oh, I am doing something wrong. I obviously don't know what I'm doing. What would you have to say to parents about that?
Yeah, we see parents getting a lot of judgment out in the community about their child's behaviour. And what we do know is that ADHD is a neurological condition, and it affects the way the brain functions, and therefore affects behaviour as well, executive function, part of the brain. And I guess what we are offering to parents is not telling them how to do things better or that they're doing things wrong. We're explaining the effects on the ADHD brain, basically, on how your child sees the world and responds, and giving you some understanding around that. And really, our role is supportive, and it is voluntary. And we find that actually most parents want more information. They want to know more about it. You know, how does it work? How's the medication work? And that first session that Jan was talking about with our psychiatrist, Matt Eagleston, he talks about ADHD has not been brought about because of bad parenting. You know, it is there. And we kind of just reinforce that as well, don't we? That message.
Yeah, we want to help parents to understand that typical parenting often really does not work, and really things have to be tweaked quite a lot, because the ADHD brain just works differently. And often, like for instance, reward charts just don't work the same for children with ADHD. So we explore those kind of things, how the brain is working and how we can best help our children. And we have a few interesting little tips and tricks around that. Like one of our things we talk about is spoon theory. I don't know if you've heard about spoon theory.
I have heard
yeah. And I mean,
it's great.
If you have ADHD, you know, it just takes you that much more effort to do the things that what you see other people just look so normal and easy. You know, so
it's that sensory overload, that cognitive overload.
Yeah.
You know, you wake up in the morning, you have less spoons of energy, and the brain, because the communication in the different parts of the brain doesn't work as well, you have to use a lot more energy to be able to concentrate and do stuff. And then you deplete your energies. And then we see kids at school who have emotional meltdowns because they can't manage anymore. They've used up all their spoons of energy. So, you know, those are the sorts of things that we talk about and look at and share with parents.
Yeah, so we're helping parents to understand that their parenting can be so helpful for their children, and that they can really deliberately work to help their children through those kinds of difficulties, like spoon, you know, using up all your spoons, or just not being able to get yourself organised to get out the door in the morning, and understanding that it's not because you're lazy, it's actually because your executive functioning is around about 2 years behind other children. So understanding those things and how we can support our kids to get out the door happy and ready for school.
So I'm familiar with the spoon theory, but could you explain what that is for those watching that don't know what that is?
Well, we all have, you know, it's a little bit like the filling your cup as well. You know, we all have some energy in the morning when we get out of bed, and we might have more or less depending on the day. You know, it might be Wednesday and it's been a busy week so far, and we might have been up in the night with a child, or we might have a cold, so we might have less spoons ready to use during the day, the energy that we have. So we might have other issues, like we may have executive functioning difficulties and find it just that much harder to get out the door in the morning. We might have other things going on. We might have had a migraine. We might have had an argument with our partner. We might have had a bust up with our best friend, all of those things. So it applies to all of us.
And that uses up the spoons. I think if we're looking at kids, they can't find their shoes in the morning. So they're all upset. They want to take their particular shoes that they like to school. And that's used up some spoons. And then, they're in the car and some siblings have an argument, and that's that sensory overload. And then they end up at school being late. So already they're down quite a few spoons. The spoons of energy being used to cope with those things that have occurred, those adverse conditions that have occurred. And then it just depletes. And, as I was saying, some kids in the afternoon have just, there's nothing.
No spoons left.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Plus they might not have, because they're on the stimulant medication, so their appetite is low, they might not have refueled during the day because they just haven't felt hungry. So that can also often hits when your child jumps in the car and they have just had enough.
In fact, I was just remembering about a mum who talked to me and said that she would take a child to the mall, and they were fine. They were fine in the mall, fine, until they got into the car, and the child just, that was it. The spoons were gone, used up all the spoons to manage with the chaos, the lights, the excitement, everything. And there's that emotional meltdown in the car, just like clockwork, because that's all that child could manage in that space. So,
So in that way, we're kind of looking at the why of the behaviour. What's sitting. The child just didn't have a meltdown because they wanted to have a meltdown. There was some reasons for that. So we start to understand why behaviour happens.
And it's got nothing to do with being a bad parent.
No.
That's what's happening with your child.
No.
Yeah.